Hi there, and welcome to the Mindful Marathon podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Quirk, a run coach and pediatrician. Mindful Marathon is all about helping runners of all types to run their own race. Whether you are a seasoned runner or you're just getting started, I want to let you know that you're welcome here and that you're in the right place. Hi, my friend. Welcome back to the podcast. Today is a very special milestone episode because we are celebrating one whole year of the Mindful Marathon podcast. So we are on episode 52. I can hardly believe that. And whether you've been here since the beginning or if you're just tuning in for the first time, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you very much for being a part of this journey with me. And a journey it has been. So, one of my favorite parts of doing the show is hearing from you. And I'd love to share a recent review. So, this listener wrote in, Dr. Michelle Quirk is an amazing host who gives practical advice for runners of all levels. She does a great job of bringing on a range of guests to provide runners with great tips. So, thank you so much to that listener for your kind words and for leaving a review. And if you've been enjoying the podcast, the very best way you can support it and even give it a little happy birthday gift is by leaving a quick review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes and sharing it with a friend. It really does make a big difference in helping more runners to find us. So if you haven't yet left us a review, I would love it if you could do that at some point this week. Now, since this is a year in podcasting episode, I thought it would be fun to highlight a couple of our most listened to episodes and what I learned from podcasting this year. So, this year, the episode so far with the most downloads is episode 41, Running After Organ Donation, A Story of Courage and Comeback. So, in this episode, I interviewed one of my runners, Allie G. and Papa, and she actually donated a piece of her liver to a friend. And I don't want to spoil the whole story, but she basically donated the piece of her liver and then navigated her way back to running after this major surgery and shared all about that journey and the story. And I think it resonated with listeners because it was such an inspirational story. And I think we can all see parts of ourselves in that story, even if we have never been through a major illness or been through a surgery or donated an organ. But I would definitely recommend, if you haven't given it a listen, go back and listen to episode 41. And then I'm going to give a runner-up episode, which had the next highest downloads, was episode 35, Running with Intention, Laying the Groundwork for Fall Races. So that was a solo episode I did about planning for fall races for a half or full marathon this fall. And it was all about laying the foundation and base training. So if you've got a fall race on your schedule and you haven't yet had a chance to listen to that one, maybe scroll on back and enjoy. So episode 41, episode 35. And now I wanted to give, I'm calling it a behind the mic reflection of some things that I have learned along the way with this podcasting endeavor. So this has been a really rewarding project for me. But I need to be honest with everybody out there. The solo episodes were often the most difficult ones for me to record. So with guest interviews, and you can look back and see that when I started, I had many more guest interviews than solo episodes. And for me, the conversation flows more naturally when there's someone on the other side of this Zoom recording. And when it was just me and the mic, I found it a little bit difficult to find my own voice. It just initially felt a little awkward to stare into the camera and talk to myself. But then I realized I was really not talking to myself. I'm really talking to you. And so envisioning my runners and my athletes and those of you who have sent me messages and emails, that has really helped. And I think I am just starting to find my own voice in these solo episodes. And what I learned from this that I can tie into running is that sometimes trying something new feels really uncomfortable in the moment at first. And, maybe it's your first race, maybe it's your first speed workout, maybe you're tying on your sneakers after a long time off and you're just getting back out there after not having run for a while. And it just, it takes practice to find your rhythm and find your stride. And what I found is that the more I have shown up to do this, the more confidence I have built in the process. So, yes, lesson one was that we really have to practice and we have to flex the muscles in order to get stronger at the thing. And that thing can be running and that thing can be podcasting. So sometimes you have to do the thing even when you're uncomfortable. And I'll let you in on a little secret here. So, as a recovering type A perfectionist type person, I had the idea for this podcast several years ago, but it took me a long time to decide that I was all in and wanted to do it because for a lot of reasons, but I knew that it was a time commitment and it was a commitment to really putting out conversations and content and helping runners in this way. And it was hard to let go of the fact that every episode didn't have to be perfect. In the beginning, I struggled with even picking the music for the intro and the outro. So I'll just give a shout out here to two wonderful friends, Dr. Erin Wiseman and Dr. Dina George. They actually helped me pick out the music for the podcast several years before this podcast actually launched. So I had the music. I remember I actually purchased the music and had it on my computer, and I still sat on it for quite a while. The other big lesson I learned this year was the power of consistency. And you know that I talk about consistency a lot, but just like in running, progress comes from showing up again and again and not from one perfect effort. So, what has really helped with podcasting is to treat this the same way that I would treat my running workouts and the same way that I share here for runners to make working out and exercise a priority. They put that in their calendar the same way they put in their work schedule and their family commitments and doctor's appointments and all of these things. So I scheduled podcasting time into my calendar. And by protecting that time and treating it like a priority, that's really what allowed me to get to this milestone of 52 episodes. And more than anything, I've learned how much I love connecting with you in this way. So I love receiving your messages, your emails, that a certain episode inspired you, or what you took from a certain episode and implemented right away, and how that's helped you, or that a mantra that I shared during one of my race recap episodes really resonated with you and that you adopted it as your own. All of those things are really very special, and that is why I do this. So, looking ahead, as we move into year two of this podcast, I am very excited to continue to bring you episodes that make running feel easier and inspire you and encourage you to take the next step in your running journey. I have some great topics ahead and some really amazing guests planned so far, but I also want to hear from you. So, what would you love to learn about this coming year, and how can I help you best with this platform? So, reach out to me, send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at mindful.marathon, or send me an email. I'd love to have your input. Now, before we wrap up, so this episode is coming out Monday, September 8th. And on Tuesday, September 9th, I'm hosting a live free workshop called The Confident Runner Formula: 5 Secrets to Training for Your Next Race. We are going to dive into the strategies that I use with my athletes so that you can train smarter, run stronger, and feel more confident on race day. Now, if you're listening to this before the workshop on Tuesday, so if you're listening to it Monday or early on Tuesday, there's a link in the show notes to sign up so that you can come live on Tuesday night. But if you are catching this episode after I do the workshop, don't worry. You can still sign up and get access to the replay. So I will put that link in the show notes, and I would love to see you there live. But if not, I would be happy to send you the replay. Now, the other big news in Mindful Marathon is that my 10K Your Way program is officially open for enrollment. So I'm super excited about this. It's a 6-week group training program leading up to a 10K race here in Philadelphia on November 2nd called Run the Bridge, where you run over the Ben Franklin Bridge. Now, the race has a virtual option if you are not going to be around that weekend or if you are not local to Philadelphia. And you are welcome in the program even if you are not a local runner. So I would love to have you. The information for joining that program is in the show notes. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out. So thank you so much for listening and celebrating this milestone with me. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed the episode, please share it with a friend. And if you have a moment, please rate and review the podcast so that we can reach and encourage others to tie on their sneakers and join us out there on a run. See you next time.